Do you ever have any problems with the audience? I mean, besides just warming them up. I mean, you know, do you have to call security or anything? Like,
we haven't. The funny thing is, we had in all my years of doing this, we had Justin Bieber on Idol, and of course that would be the one episode we had him on, and right as soon as he finished, you know, in Idol we have the pits, so people are standing right there in our orchestra pit. We have the kids, and mostly we put the kids there in the pit, so they're screaming. And the bad thing was Bieber made eye contact with one of the girls, and he was, you know, he told her to come up and give a hug. She started coming up the stairs. Our security tackles this girl, like just bam to the ground.
That's what we're up against. People are giving, but sometimes it's not getting there, and it's not their fault.
Today, he's worked on American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, America's Got Talent, and So You Think You Can Dance. And now he has his own game show. Cory Almeida, the host of Pictureka on the Hub Network, is here. And then, Nicole Sherwin on Celebrity Causes. Are they for real or just PR? But up first, Cory Almeida. Great to meet you, Cory.
Thanks for having me, Greg. Appreciate it.
Well, you sound like you've been a busy guy. You're just working on all the biggest reality shows out there.
You're right, I haven't heard of any of those. Right.
And now you've got your own game show. What is this, Pictureka?
It's a crazy, wild, bright, colorful show. Super high energy. It's all based on the concept of the board game, which is find it fast, find it first. So it's all about...
Oh, so there is a board game.
There is a board game, yeah, where it all started from. And we put it up on its feet. We gave it life, and we put it into this huge maze. And we've got a huge ball pit. We've got a balloon monsoon, all kinds of craziness. And it's really about these teams finding it fast, finding it first, getting these characters, these items, these objects, and bringing them to the finish line and racking up points before the other team, and then hopefully get to that bonus round and play for a big grand prize, and we send them off on a trip all over the world. So it's fun.
And this is, Hub used to be Discovery Kids, right? So this is obviously for...
Yeah, it's a joint venture now between Discovery Kids and Hasbro. So anyone out there who's watching Discovery Kids and they don't know where it is anymore, it's still there. It's just the Hub now, which is a really fun, exciting network. There's tons of great programming on it. Hasbro's brought all of their cards to the table, which is great because, you know, Hasbro's got everything from Pom Puppies and My Little Pony to G.I. Joe and Transformers, which is like a blast from the past for me.
And they all show up in the show? You can buy everything, right?
Right, just buy. I'm not concerned with the buy. It's just watch. Works for me. But it's, yeah, it's really a blast, and the show is just really a lot of fun. It's a good time.
And I think now there's a little bit of a delay between when we tape this and air, but it just started airing, what, this week, I think?
Yeah, actually, last Monday was the original air date. And it's just, I'm hearing through the grapevine, people are just watching it and loving it, and it's really fast paced. I mean, it goes by like that. These guys are running, and scores are adding up, and balls are flying everywhere, and so it really goes by super fast. But at the end of that half hour, you're just like, I think watching at home, you're exhausted because you're like, I feel like I just ran the maze and I just did all of that stuff.
Kids. And is that different working with little kids, because you're mostly used to working with adults on these shows, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but I mean, and on the other shows, I work with the audience. So the audience can be anything. Like on Dancing with the Stars, most of the audience, they're a little bit older. So, you know, they put on their evening gowns and their suits and they come out and watch a show. Yeah. But when you're doing So You Think You Can Dance or American Idol, even America's Got Talent, you've got a little bit of a younger demographic in the audience, so you could still have fun. And I mean, I grew up doing shows, touring with Nickelodeon, doing shows for Disney. So I love kids. I love working with kids, and for me, it's the best because you can't write or create some of the stuff that kids come up with, so why bother? Just let them do their thing.
Is that a problem, though? I mean, do any of the kids ever get out of control? Do you have to write them in?
That's for the editing room. No, well, you know, we've no kids are fun,
days, you know,
right? It's funny though. We have come up to. There have been a couple things that have been brought to the table that were pretty funny. Like we had one of our games is called the Balloon Monsoon, and it's all about finding these balloons, popping them, and you get the points when you pop the balloon. And we had one boy on the show who was scared to death of popping balloons. So so I never thought we would do this, but we actually gave him a popping balloon 101 class, and we talked him through it, and he popped the balloons, and yeah, now he worked it out. You know what I mean? I see him once a week for an hour or 50 minutes, but it's all,
Dr. Phil.
It's all good. Yeah, no, but yeah. So sometimes some stuff like that comes up, but for the most part, these kids are just on there to have a blast, and I'm a big kid. I mean, for me, every episode I end up in that ball pit. Yeah, just a little bit, right? I end up in that ball pit. I end up smashing balloons on my own. It's really
They said, look, you're the host, not the contestant.
Yeah, exactly. We need these for the next show. Yeah. What are you doing? But
and now, what do they win out of this? Is it big money, gifts? What do they get?
Trips. So we have great trips to Hawaii, Fiji, Jamaica, to Hershey, Pennsylvania, up to Mammoth, ski vacations, all kinds of trips.
I'm assuming Hershey's because of the chocolate factory.
It always works out nice that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
Hey, I want to go on that.
I'm a big chocolate fan, so it works for me.
I guess they have to take the parents, though, right?
Yeah, the parents have to go along. You need that guardian, so they do take the parents. I bet
a lot of kids are disappointed about that.
Yeah, they're taking their parents with them. And then how it works is basically you've got 2 kids and a parent against 2 kids and a parent, so you got 2 families.
Oh, so the parents are actually on the ice.
Yeah, they're on it. And actually, they're pretty fun, too, because you can never anticipate what parents are going to do. And
yeah. Actually, we did a show once on Sports Rage where you had these ultra-competitive parents. Like, they'd go to the little kids' game, but the parents would actually cause fights. The kids were fine, but the parents would cause fights.
That's scary.
So do you have any competitive parents who are like getting into it or stirring things up?
We do have competitive parents. There have been some who have been really, really upset, and actually we've had some who want to go back and look at the tape to see if they dropped it in the bin at the right time.
Instant replay type
the whole instant replay thing, which is cool with us because we're, for us, and obviously, on game shows, it's all about making sure we're as fair and loyal to both teams as we can be. We want to make sure that the right team wins and that we're not showing any kind of bias one way or the other. So we have standards and practice who is there to make sure it all goes along. So if they want to see something, we show it to them. They haven't got that outrageous. They haven't come down and strangled me yet because I made a bad call. But we're just in season 1, so you never know.
But you have had to check a few things or just to make sure.
Because there's so many. In this game, and folks who play the board game know there are a lot of gray areas. So we have to make sure we've got an official sheet from Hasbro and the developers who say, no, this is something with an engine. This is not something with an engine. So if they so they're very specific. Although those can be a little bit funky too, we kind of make sure that it all lines up. So we, and of course we want to make sure they get what they came on the show for, which is a fair shake at winning a cool prize, and of course fun.
And when does this air?
It airs Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and obviously it's on the Hub, and then it re-airs on Sundays. We do a repeat encore episode on Sundays, again at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So it's great because you can tune in every day, set the DVRs, and just watch them like crazy. It's a blast.
And of course, I guess the plan is usually to let it run as long as it can, but is there like an initial order or something for this, or how long they plan to?
Well, right now we'll run all the way through the holidays. We have 65 shows on order for this one, so there's a lot of episodes for you guys to see, a lot of craziness. And then we're just, hoping, praying, fingers crossed that we come back. But like I said, the initial response has been great, and we're already creating bigger, crazier, wilder games for season 2. So as soon as they give us that green light, we're coming in.
It each,
Yeah, because you don't want to, there are certain games that kids are going to want to see and be a part of. I think one of our favorites, I mentioned a few times, our ball pit. When we do eyeballs and oddballs in the ball pit, kids love that. I mean, they love diving into the ball pit. So it's a lot of fun for them. And that one has become one that's been a fan favorite. So we may bring back some of those, but we always want to be changing and coming up with something different so that you're not, every episode isn't the same 2 or 3 games. We've got a good amount of mixture there, and we want to keep adding to that to really, keep spicing it up and add some different curveballs to the mix.
When we talked earlier, it was interesting when you told me kind of the backstory of how you got this. Do you mind?
It's crazy
because it was kind of up in the air there for, I guess, like a lot of things, right?
Yeah, it's really wild, and because I've been doing warm up on all of these TV shows, and I was doing warm up on Dancing with the Stars. And for those of you out there who don't know, warm up is basically the guy that gets everybody screaming and hyped up, get them clapping and booing and cheering for the contestants and the judges on stage. And so I entertain everybody during commercial breaks. One of the production team was at Dancing with the Stars when they were initially approached to pitch this show to Hasbro and Discovery Kids. And so they said, you should get a host, but don't get a host, just get somebody that, that we can get in there that won't interfere with the presentation, that won't stand in the way, but should still present it. So they came to me and they said, would you mind doing this? There's a very slim chance we're going to get it, and there's no chance you're going to get it. So don't get your hopes up. You're not hosting the show. I'm like, that makes it feel great. Yeah, sign me up for that one. But for me, it was great because I love game, I love kids, and I love live. So for me, it was like, okay, let me get in there and help them out. And immediately there was just like this love affair between the production company and myself. They were cool to hearing my ideas, and we were just instantly on the same page. So it went from we're probably not going to get it. You're definitely not going to get it. To it'd be cool to have a chance to get this, and we'll definitely throw your hat in the ring. To we got to get this show. We got to have you as the host.
Wow,
so it worked out great for all of us, and they gave me the call on April Fool's Day.
Oh,
so I'm all excited.
You didn't believe them.
So I'm all excited. I hang up, and then I go, this could be the best and worst joke ever. Because I love jokes, I love pranks, but I'm like, this could be the best and worst prank ever played on me. So I call back. I go, you realize this is April Fool's Day, and while this is an amazing April Fool's, I will kill you if this is an April Fool's. And they're like, no, we thought the same thing when the network called us, but we are good, and you're our host. So so it was great. It worked out. It worked out awesome. So
a happy ending on April Fool's Day.
We like it.
We'll be right back. And we are back with Cory Almeida, the host of Pictureka. So now, before we start talking about some of the other shows that you've been working on, the big primetime reality shows, but is that something? Do you like the live, or I mean, do they do a lot of editing, or is it just whatever happens?
No, I mean we there is some editing because there is gameplay involved. So some games will take longer, so you can't sit there for you can't sit there for 7 minutes, because sometimes in that ball pit, there's a finish line fish that they have to find. It's one ball that they have to find that's bigger than the others, but not huge.
And
so
sometimes they don't find it?
Sometimes they're digging for days in that ball pit. Sometimes I'm jumping in. I'm like, find the finish line fish. So, of course, we edit that, but most of the action we keep live, and they roll with it live, which for me is what I live for. I love live. It's just, there's a certain energy, a certain dynamic that you have in live that you don't have when you can go ahead and do take 2, take 3, take 4. It's like, you have to do it. We have to.
And I think you, as you know as well, or better than anybody, that even when things maybe don't go right, you can still use that or get material from.
That's sometimes the best. Like sometimes some of the best stuff is the stuff that you flub up a word, or you say something to one of the contestants, and they're like, wait a minute, no, that's not it. Then you have a great moment there, which when you edit it, you can edit it out, but if you're live, you can't. And those are sometimes the gems where people are like, I love when that thing when it happened, because it makes you look human. And after all, that's what we are. We're just out there having fun with these guys. So
that's the one that ends up on YouTube.
Oh, always 1 million hits on YouTube is the one where Cory falls on his face recording the music video.
I'm gonna look for that one.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but it's out there.
So now about all these other shows, American Idol, of course.
Have you heard of it?
A little,
it's a singing competition, and you vote for people. And
imagine that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think they've only tried to come up with 10 copies of it now. But,
today.
But of course, it's so much in the news these days with kind of the revolving door over there.
Yeah.
I guess
it's been interesting.
But they've filled everything that needs to be filled, apparently.
The gaps, everything's full, and if they ever need to fill Ryan's position, they know where to find me. But, but I love Ryan; he's great, and it was up in the air for a while.
He's about the only one left.
Yeah, him and Randy, they've been there. They've been the diehards, so they're involved, and so we've got J-Lo now. So that's exciting, and Steven Tyler. So it's an interesting mix, an interesting dynamic. J-Lo we had on as a mentor a couple seasons back, and the kids loved her. They loved her. The production staff loved her. She's always been a huge fan of the show. So so it's going to be good to have her here, and it'll be interesting to see, as far as going from being a mentor to now judging and critiquing, what her critique will be on these contestants. But it's it'll be exciting to have them in, and it's always good to kind of change things a little bit. We knew we were losing Simon because he's heading off to X Factor.
Right.
So we knew that was happening, and so I think they wanted to just kind of get in and really mix it up, give it a whole different feel this season. Nigel came back. Nigel Lithgow, who was one of the executive producers who left for a while, who's one of the big names over at So You Think You Can Dance, and love Nigel. So he's back. So his hat's back in the ring. So there'll be some interesting tweaks and changes here as they go forward. But I've heard from the grapevine just on the road that there have been some amazing episodes, because they're actually in the middle of auditioning right now. We won't see these episodes till January, but luckily I know a few of the people, so they're like, wait till you see what happens here. There are some episodes that I heard are just really phenomenal, so it's exciting.
You've been working on the show since season 3?
Since season 3.
And well, I mean, are you sorry to see some of these people leave, or what can you? I guess this gets a little political, but
right.
Are you glad Simon's gone? No.
No, Simon's always been cool, and obviously, folks love it, and they love the drama that he brings to the show. But he's always been great. He's been great to me. When he started doing America's Got Talent, when they were just trying that show out here, he called me in to do the warm up for the show. He said, because we're just piloting this. We want to bring in Cory. So he brought me in. So he's always been super great with me as far as just, you know, seeing me and saying hi and really being nice. They all have been. Now it's gotten a little crazy because it's become such a huge beast, this American Idol monster, that a lot of times during the commercial breaks, they're in and out. They'll go out and do an interview or something, or just go out and grab some water and then come back in. Whereas before, in previous seasons, we'd be able to interact a little bit more with the audience, where they could ask the judges some questions and stuff. And maybe they didn't like the audience digging up their all their dirty secrets, so they ran out during the commercial breaks. But yeah, so it's been interesting. I mean, I was sad. It was sad for me to see Paula go, because I had a great relationship with Paula. I love Paula. She'll always go out of her way to come up and say hi to me, no matter what taping she's at. If she sees me, she'll come up and give me a big hug. And she really is just super sweet, and you know, so I love her, and I'm excited. She's got some stuff in the works.
Maybe you could. Well, and since, by the way, you said you're going to keep your day job, even though you've got this hosting gig, you're going to keep working with the other reality shows? Yeah,
I'll keep doing that until, you know, until I end up hopefully hosting one of these network shows, and then I won't be able to do so much of the warm-up. But until then, it's great for me, and it's for me as a host, a great stomping grounds for me to kind of. I'm always interviewing, always doing that, and that's what we have to do as hosts anyways. So I'll stick through that as long as I can until the hosting thing becomes too much and I can't do the warm up anymore. But it's still a blast. I mean, I'm blessed to have the gig and all the gigs, and I love it. And
but is there kind of an art to that? Because, or what I mean is, I went to the Craig Kilborn show once, and I sat in the audience. Sometimes I've gone in different arrangements where I just stood in the back or something, but this time I was actually sitting in the audience. And I'll never forget, though. The guy was very good. Hopefully it wasn't you. If it was you, I'm sorry.
It wasn't me.
It's a bad story.
I didn't do Craig Kilborn, so I'm like, as soon as you said Craig Kilborn, I was like, phew.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't do that one.
Wouldn't that be awful? The moment here, I'm telling you about yourself. But he was great, warming everybody up. But it was so much. Finally, I remember I heard this little voice say, "You're wearing us out," you know, because it was so like we had to keep standing up and I don't know, raising our arms or shouting or something, and like everybody was like exhausted by the time they were done. By the time they were going to start taping, so
it's really it's really delicate. Like you have to pace yourself and pace the energy of the audience. Like when I do Dancing with the Stars, that's a 2-hour show. Wow. The audience sometimes gets there at 1 in the afternoon to start lining up, sometimes earlier. So they've been there their entire day. The last thing they want is somebody screaming at them, barking at them. So for me, I just turn it around on them. I try to make the audience the star of the show. I'll grab people out of the audience, get them up dancing, talk to them about their groups, and just let them carry the weight of it. So it's not just me on the microphone all the time saying, stand up on your feet, make some noise, clap your hands, scream, shout, boo, whatever you got to do. So
put them to work.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're not just hearing me all the time. It's, you know, you don't want to turn into that, you know, that bar mitzvah MC where you're just like on the mic the whole time. It's very much like a roller coaster. You want to push them to the top of that hill and then just kind of let go and let the show do its work. And then you come in every once in a while and turn them this way and turn them that way, and then you get them to the back to the end of the show. But you don't want to be you don't want someone screaming that out. That's the worst thing.
Do you ever have any problems with the audience? I mean, besides just warming them up. I mean, you know, do you have to call security, or I mean, or like?
We haven't. The funny thing is, we had the only in all my years of doing this, we had Justin Bieber on Idol, and of course that would be the one episode we had him on, and right as soon as he finished, you know, in Idol we have the pits, so people are standing right there in our orchestra pit. We have the kids, and mostly we put the kids there in the pit, so they're screaming. And the bad thing was Bieber made eye contact with one of the girls, and he was, you know, he told her to come up and give a hug. She started coming up the stairs. Our security tackles this girl, like just bam to the ground. And I'm like, but Bieber was asking for a hug. So she did get the hug, but
there's a warning there.
But yeah, right, exactly. So security had to spring into action that one time. But for the most part, people are fans of the show. A lot, you know, these shows are so big. They're from all over the world who come to see this show. I mean, I had a guy in the audience from Italy. We have people in the audience from all over the place who come to see this show. So they don't put that in jeopardy. They just sit there and have fun with it, enjoy it, and they're so starstruck by being there. For them, it's great. But yeah, the Bieber incident was one of the only ones that's ever really happened in all the years of doing it, and of course it would involve Bieber.
Well, we're almost out of time, but one last question. I'm just curious, you know how you go to the movies these days and everybody's on their cell phone, or, you know, they're always, do they take people's cell phones, or what do you do? How do you keep people from like texting or talking, or what, how do you?
It's hard to prevent, and you know as well as I do, like even sitting here for you know, a 20-minute
I'm still
interview.
waiting for the day when the guest
When's
pulls
we
out
gonna
the
get the
phone
text?
and answers it. Yeah,
right, exactly. Exactly, because as soon as the interview's over, we'll run and check our phones and see who's called us, right? It's unbelievable, but they do check them at the door. A lot of the VIP guests are able to sneak them in, so you'll see a lot of them. They'll be like this, not so much during the show, but as soon as we go to commercial, it's head down and type, head down and type. So it gets a little bit crazy, and I've actually thought of, you know, incorporating that into the show, because I do a whole thing when I do live events on my own where I MC and kind of do the whole sound and video. I have them text me live, because you can't avoid it. People are texting, so I figured, what's the next best way to do it? Well, use that for your advantage. Have them text shout-outs, have them text you live, because I play all the walk-in music or music during commercial breaks. So for me, it's like, text me what song you want to hear, who do you want to listen to, so then they feel like, oh, I'm really still a part of this show. So you know, so I can do that on certain levels. I don't really do it at the TV shows because I don't want to condone the fact that you guys have your cell phones and are texting right now. So I try to keep it nonchalant, or I'll walk up behind someone who's texting and I'll just look over their shoulder. I'll say, well, the good thing is most of you guys didn't bring your phone. Most of you didn't bring your phone. Well, except for this one, and you're writing right now too. And then they freak out and get embarrassed, and then people kind of put it away because they don't want to get caught and they don't want to be thrown under the bus. So you use one person as an example. But
well, thank you very much,
Cory
Almeida.
It's a pleasure.
Look for him on Pictureka on the Hub Network. We'll be right back. And we are back. Joining me now is Nicole Sherwin from Celebrity Soul. Great to have you here today, Nicole.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you, Greg.
Well, actually, I was on the red carpet last night at an event for the Christopher Reeve Foundation, which was supporting spinal cord research, of course, in Beverly Hills, although they called it Night by the Sea, and we were kind of joking a little bit about that because it wasn't quite by the sea from an LA point of view. But, but I was thinking very much of celebrities and their causes, and I know that's your specialty.
Yes.
And you know, you're always hearing about on TV what, you know, the latest celebrity cause or what people are up to. So what are people up to? How about, why don't we just start at the top? Angelina Jolie, what's her cause?
Well, you know, all different celebrities are involved with all different causes, and it depends what, you know, is in their soul. My show is called Celebrity Soul because I interview the soul behind the stars to find out how they're advocating for certain causes, why they're advocating for those causes, and what they're doing to make a difference, whether it's donating their time, their money, whether they're in the trenches, or whether they're just doing it for their own publicity. And that's always an interesting, interesting spin. But, you know, obviously Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are very, very high up on the chain of
she's always off around the world.
Well, she is. I mean, she's a U.S. ambassador, goodwill ambassador for the UN, and you know, they have the Maddox Jolie Pitt Foundation together, which advocates for all different causes, very, very much focused on children. Brad Pitt has the Make It Right Foundation. He's incredibly in the trenches in New Orleans. They really do a lot. They put a lot of their money where their mouths are, and they do a lot physically. So they're a fantastic example, and they're really leading the charge in showing how to make conscious change in the world. So they're very impressive, in my opinion.
She's gone into some of the hot spots too, I think. What she's been in Iraq. And
she's been all over the place in a lot of hot spots. So, you know, they're obviously very well protected when they go into these places. But, you know, it's just, there's so many celebrities that do nothing. They just enjoy their fame, they enjoy their wealth, they fly around in their private jets and do nothing. You want to give us some of those names? No. Unfortunately not. That's between you and I, off camera. But, you know, they
That'd be
get
a good segment for the show. Celebrities who sit on their butt and do nothing, you know.
It would, but I probably wouldn't have a job after that. Probably be sued.
So, okay, we'll stick to the more charitable ones then.
Indeed.
So, I think Ed Begley Jr. is someone else.
Ed Begley's been since the 1970s. When it wasn't trendy, when it wasn't cool, when eco wasn't hip, he's been the one leading the charge in the whole environmental movement. So, you know, he rides his bicycle to charity events or to...
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. He really walks his walk and talks his talk.
Or rides
he really
his ride
does.
or
and rides his ride, exactly. He really truly does. I mean, every time I interview him, I've interviewed him about 7 times, and every time he's got a new gadget at home that is somehow solar powered or wind powered or electric based.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, just incredible. Composting, units.
Well, why don't you bring him next time? He can show us one of those devices with you then.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
But so he really sounds like he is quite into it.
He's amazing.
Solar powered home or something?
He doesn't just talk about it because it's the right thing to do. He actually lives it. It's in his DNA. It's like he's so passionate about environmental activism and saving the planet and not polluting. So he advocates a lot for Coalition for Clean Air, which is obviously, you know, anti-global warming and creating awareness around the way we live and the way we're polluting the planet.
Well, it's interesting too when you say that he really lives it, because I was telling you earlier about a celebrity who shall remain nameless, who was
I have met him, by the way, yes.
Oh, you know, talking about going green in the environment, but yet,
not at all.
We'll take limos to events, or even I think someone testifying before Congress, they found out that remember the thing with was it the car? Some of the politicians were caught in a scandal when they went to like testify before Congress, and they, you know, drove. What did they get out of the energy efficient cars? So there was that whole thing. But you know, in other words, but they don't always.
There's a lot of that going around, and there's, you know, the whole sort of philanthropy arena has its own dark side, obviously, and you know, a lot of people want to get celebrities to events just because it's good for their publicity.
Right.
So they
in fact,
try
someone
and.
was saying last night, you know, the Reef Foundation is one apparently that does not pay celebrities, but some actually pay celebrities.
Some actually pay celebrities, and then you know if it's a genuine charity or not. So you, just for your viewers out there, it's really important to dig deep, do some research to really find out which charities are the genuine articles that are really sending the money and the relief efforts and everything to those causes, and which ones are really in it for the publicity and the celebrities and to basically generate their own money. A lot of people are doing that too. So. Well,
and one thing a lot of people don't necessarily realize sometimes with celebrity causes, and I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad thing, but when they say like proceeds are donated to, what that usually means is the net proceeds, you know, after maybe they paid the performers or something, or paid quite a few people, and then what's left over goes. It's not like they're sending all the money off to wherever.
Some of the, like Hope for Haiti charities, those types of charities do send all the relief effort over there, but who knows what happens once the relief effort gets there, because it then gets stuck in, you know, the whole governmental process, and everything gets, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's true in so many ways. Even like in Iraq, they're wondering where all the money went.
Exactly.
And, you know,
so that's what we're up against. People are giving, but sometimes it's not getting there, and it's not their fault. It's a whole, you know, sort of domino effect of everyone feeding everybody else, and you know, it's just really sad. But there are some charities that are really making massive changes, and Bono and Bob Geldof with the One charity.
Oh, which is?
You know you know the Red charity. So a lot it's basically for HIV/AIDS in Africa, and a percentage of certain brands go directly to those charities, and it's very well monitored, it's very well put together, and obviously Bob Geldof has been an activist since also around the 70s. He's been very, very philanthropic and lending his time and bringing his resources together and all his, you know, high-profile friends to really make a difference. So that's quite impressive. And then also there's Matt Damon's charity, One by One.
Oh.
Also, again, very much to One by One advocates for children, clean water, you know,
are those
anti-poverty.
I hear a lot about children and green. Are those the big things, or not? Are there? Green
is massive at the moment. It's kind of the new wave, and in my opinion, I think the whole eco and wellness industries are the next trillion-dollar industries. It's definitely something people are starting to understand. I was brought up green. I didn't realize I was being green, but my father's a homeopath, a naturopath.
Well, you're from Europe
an
anyway,
acupuncturist. Right? Well, I was born in South Africa, but I grew up in England. So
okay.
Yes, so I'm sort of multi.
Because I think they're more environmentally conscious over there in general. Anyway.
They are.
They tend to be more.
They are, exactly. So. There's definitely more of an environmental consciousness there, but it's coming here.
Now, these are all great causes that you've mentioned, but is there, as we were discussing earlier, maybe a backlash or a downside to this where maybe, you know, sometimes, actually I remember once I was telling a friend of mine about so-and-so is going to talk about their cause, and they're like, I just want to hear about their movie. Do you
Right.
think, do the public care? Do they really listen to what the celebrities are saying, or do they just want to hear about the movie?
Some and some. You get certain. Everybody's at their different stage of evolution, at their different stage of consciousness. Some people are super interested in making changes in their own lives as well as helping the planet and people around them, and other people are not. They're more self-absorbed and would rather, find out about gossip and fashion and who's dating who and what's going on.
But on the red carpet.
That's it. So my show is very geared towards the sort of shifting consciousness, but in a really cool, funky, trendy way. So it's not too hippie-ish and in your face and, you must do this. It's like, these are the options. You can still be fabulous. You can still live a luxurious lifestyle, but you can do it with consciousness and you can help others and the planet.
Well, thank you very much, Nicole Sherwin,
so
Celebrity
much.
Soul.
CelebritySoul.com.
Okay, we'll look for that, and also thanks to Cory Almeida. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.